Did Optimum Nutrition just join an ultra exclusive club within the supplement industry? So I'll get to that introductory statement a bit later in this content, but on March 1st of 2023, Glanbia updated the public markets by releasing its 2022 full year earnings report. I'll be utilizing that financial information along with the earnings call commentary and any relevant publicly disclosed information to obviously update you on the recent performance of Glanbia and specifically Glanbia Performance Nutrition, but also utilize everything to provide insights about the global sports and active nutrition markets. Just some quick financial mumbo jumbo housekeeping for us Americans. These numbers you'll be hearing throughout the content will be the entire 12 months of 2022. So it's not quarterly, it's not just 3 months. I also converted the revenue from euros to US dollars because that's where the majority of you that are paying attention to this reside. And it helps you with comparative purposes to some of the other like US based active nutrition brands that I talk about. Finally, the comparative percentages will be in a like constant currency basis, which basically means that I stripped out the currency fluctuations of the multinational company for ease of comparisons. Okay, so enough with those formalities. Let's start with a quick update on that financial data. Wholly owned revenues were $5.94 billion, which was up 21.2% year over year. This is comprised of pricing being up 19.7% and then volume being up 0.5%. Glanbia also had an additional positive 1% impact from acquisitions. For those that might not be too familiar with Glanbia, they're made up of two wholly owned divisions. Let's cover Glanbia Nutritionals quickly first because I don't particularly spend too much time personally on this division, even though it's extremely important to the overall business. Glanbia Nutritionals is made up of two subdivisions, the US cheese side and then Nutritional Solutions. Revenue was $4.23 billion, which was up 24.3% year over year, coming from 21.2% pricing increase and then volume increase of 1.9%. This division also benefited from acquisitions in the comparatives of 1.2%. While most of that divisional revenue comes from the US cheese side, it's the nutritional solutions business that's higher margin and aligned better within the kind of value added, better nutrition focus of Glanbia right now. Now, moving on to Glanbia Performance Nutrition, which is made up of the nutritional brands like Optimum Nutrition and SlimFast, among a handful of others. This division had revenue of $1.71 billion, which was up 13.9% year over year. The brand portfolio continued to have strong pricing power in the market, with it being up 16.4%, but price elasticities of demand caused volume decline of 2.9% in 2022. Glanbia Performance Nutrition also benefited 0.4% from an acquisition of the brand LevlUp, which is focused on esports and gaming nutrition. Let's look at the GPN revenue by region, starting with the Americas, that currently makes up 68% of the total divisional revenue. In 2022, the Americas region branded revenue grew 13.2%. This was driven by mostly price increases, but they also had good volume growth in the performance nutrition and healthy lifestyle brand portfolios, with a volume decline in the SlimFast brand. Shifting into the GPN international region, which makes up the remaining just under one third of the total divisional revenue, in 2022, the international markets, which also includes their international direct to consumer businesses, grew revenue by 16.3% year over year. GPN had strong pricing power across all products and regions, and then volumes were positive in key regional markets, with consumption trends in Europe, India, and Oceania being particularly strong. Before moving into the product category breakdown, I wanted to quickly mention a connection between sales channel and product format performance and trends. GPN continues to see more overall revenue activity being created in the food, drug, mass convenience channel, while the portfolio remains interested in driving growth through beverage and food formats. Most of that channel growth would be associated with protein powders becoming more mainstream. Category proliferation has created an environment where more consumers are purchasing performance nutrition position products at things like grocery stores and mass retailers. Shifting into a product category breakdown, let's start with the biggest and what GPN has been built around since the very beginning. The performance nutrition category is basically Optimum Nutrition. Yes, they still own BSN, but this is all about Optimum Nutrition, as they make up 56% of the total GPN revenue. At that percentage, Optimum Nutrition just narrowly missed out on the elusive billion-dollar brand club that I was mentioning in that introductory statement. But don't feel bad for Optimum Nutrition, though, as they had $959 million dollars in 2022 revenue and will most certainly reach that milestone in 2023. Optimum Nutrition had 24.3% year over year growth globally, but was particularly strong in the US market with consumption growth of 30.8%. Optimum Nutrition has benefited from its leading market position, ongoing marketing investments that include the Proven campaign, expanded large retail distribution, and focusing on launched innovation across categories like energy, hydration, plant protein, and then dairy RTD beverages. The next biggest GPN product category is healthy lifestyle, and this is made up of brands like Think, Isopure, and Amazing Grass. Healthy lifestyle makes up 17% of the total GPN revenue. It's been particularly strong over the last few years, with 2022 showing growth of 25% year over year and US market consumption growth of 13.9%. The category strategy across those three brands collectively will focus on driving brand awareness and customer acquisition with new creative campaigns and expansion of distribution in key sales channels. Shifting into the problem child of the GPN product categories, weight management has been a drag on the portfolio throughout the entire pandemic era. And now after that, weight management, aka SlimFast, is now only 15% of the total GPN revenue. It had negative mid-teens global growth in US consumption in 2022. Now, the good news is that GPN was faster to act on revamping the SlimFast brand compared to what they've done and kind of continue to not do with BSN. As I mentioned in the earlier kind of Glanbia content last year, SlimFast received an extensive holistic brand overhaul that has now hit the market. Now, the final product category is international direct to consumer and this catch all of the other brands like the struggling BSN. These hodgepodge of assets makes up 12% of the total GPN revenue, but did have collective growth of 6% year over year. Now, the international direct to consumer asset was up double when we looked at the last 9-month report. So, my assumption is that BSN and anything else they kind of stuffed in there did have negative growth year over year. For the last part of this content, I did want to go through the GPN strategic priorities and just share a collection of hot takes or things I'm left pondering about Glanbia at this current time. The first GPN strategic priority is to capture the global potential of Optimum Nutrition. As stated earlier, 2022 revenue of that brand was just shy of $1 billion. Is that getting close to reaching the upper limit of the brand's potential, or is there more juice to squeeze? In my opinion, it's the latter by a lot. They've had a great kind of growth track record over the last few years, domestically and abroad. They have strong global consumer demographics that should see through the near term recessionary period. This might seem crazy, but I think Optimum Nutrition could be a $2 billion brand by the time this decade is over. The second GPN strategic priority is to build a lifestyle nutrition platform in North America. I see the continued potential of Amazing Grass, Think, and Isopure. These brands have distinct identities, distinct hero SKUs, and can be offered to large retailers in a team manner to help drive collective results. I would also like to see SlimFast move away from weight loss and weight management and into more of this healthy lifestyle platform. The third GPN strategic priority is to accelerate growth in priority international markets. Now, despite a tough year globally with a strong US dollar, the portfolio grew in each of its key international markets. The biggest is Europe, where Glanbia is located, but Asia Pacific is growing about double the average. This is mostly dependent on the global economy coming back to life, but early adjustments on predicted global GDP numbers for 2023 are looking positive, so should be good for them. The fourth GPN strategic priority is to master digital commerce at scale. In 2022, e commerce grew 10% year over year, and that channel now makes up 29% of the total GPN revenue. The portfolio does a good job on marketplaces, decent job at driving direct to consumer transactions, and outside of Optimum Nutrition and its use of influential ambassadors, kind of several layers of that, Glanbia does a meh job on social media. Part of me wonders if it makes sense for them to go big, acquire MyProtein, and create a strategic partnership with THG Ingenuity so they can hugely accelerate this area. And then finally, I can't have a piece of Glanbia content and not talk a bit deeper about BSN. I'm going to kind of poke the bear here, and I apologize to whoever on that team that is running the brand, but what are you doing? There's nothing I can say that I haven't said 100 times over, but here's a good example of just not understanding today's consumer landscape. Imagine trying to reinvent an edgy sports nutrition brand in 2022 or 2023, and the only social media images that you've been posting recently are from a trade show that you exhibited at months ago. Maybe the only legacy sports nutrition brand doing all of this worse right now than BSN is Muscle Harm. In a category that's hypercharged on TikTok, there's no way that you're competing against the likes of Rise or Alpha Lion and a handful of others with that current strategic misalignment. I don't throw a proverbial kind of right hook too often, but I know Glambia's top executives consume this content, and I know you know how to reach me. Let's either get BSN fixed together, or why don't we find a private equity buyer, stop the distraction, and get some capital to you to deploy towards more impactful areas of your business? And then, since I kind of just mentioned mergers and acquisitions a few times, I want to kind of mention a few things beyond that crazy idea about MyProtein and THG, and then also selling off BSN. GPN has been built off the back of mergers and acquisitions, and I think they need to go hunting again in 2023. Now, who's the target? I'd go with a divisional crossover play. What am I talking about? Precision fermentation. If funding gets tighter for these startups, Glanbia might have the opportunity to grab a player for cheap. Is this weird buying a competitor to cow's milk? Maybe, but hedging for the future is even more important. I hope you enjoyed this YouTube video. If you did, consider hitting the like button to support me. Also, help me get to my new short-term goal of 3,000 subscribers by hitting that subscribe button. I'd love to see you join me on this journey, but we need to fix the fact that basically 70% of you that are watching this YouTube video right now are not subscribed to my channel, and that makes me extremely sad. But I do want to thank you again for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.